And finally, lesson 4, a few more things that you need to remember when learning a new martial art or remembering what you already know. Quite a few things to cover here, and it comes from different backgrounds. Having a goal, chunking, technique, feedback, and chess. So firstly, focus on one thing each training session. You can get information overload, but what you need to understand, talking about repetition and that focus, is read a book called One Thing. It's a fantastic book, and it's the ideology that there's no such thing as multitasking, only task switching. And that for us to really excel as human beings, we need to focus our efforts on achieving one thing correct, practicing that one kick 1,000 times before moving on. Break it down into chunks. When you're in class, you're learning a new technique, maybe it's in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like the Americana. Break it down into its pieces. It can be overwhelming. It really can, especially when you have to talk about entering and exits. How do you actually get into that position and how do you actually get out of them? Don't feel overwhelmed. Break it down. Focus on that one thing each training session. Talking about technique really is key. A lot of these martial arts rely on technique over strength, especially Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which was founded on the principle that the smaller opponent can beat the bigger, more aggressive opponent. So take your time using your memory techniques to focus on technique. Then when you build strength, mobility, and speed on top, you'll be unstoppable. However, it's all good you doing this, but if you don't have any feedback loop, it's going to be useless. So figure out how you're going to measure progress. What is your KPIs? Let's talk business for a second. Key performance indicators. How are you going to decide that what you're doing is working? You need some way of getting feedback. Before each sparring match, I tell my opponent, at the end, can you tell me what I did wrong? I used to say, after each submission, that you do on me, can you tell me what I did wrong? Because when I started out, I was being tapped out, I was being beaten up. Now, I'm not cocky, I don't say, when I beat you, tell me what I did wrong. I just say, let me know what I did wrong. Whether I win that match or I lose it, there's something I did do wrong. Maybe I exposed myself for a second and I managed to get myself out of it. But I don't want to be in that situation again next time. Why make it hard for myself? So be humble enough to be like, look, before we fight, can you let me know what I did wrong at the end of it? And that's how you're really going to excel. And play chess. And if you don't play chess, learn, because life, we won't get too deep now, just like martial arts, it's similar to chess. You have to understand at times you'll have to sacrifice a position or a piece for the long-term gain. The whole idea that Stoics sacrifice short-term gain for long-term benefits, but Epicureans want short-term pleasure. They want that like on Instagram, but they don't care about the future. They say that a nation is born Stoic and dies Epicurean. The idea that we are born patient and optimistic of the future, but by the end of it, and we've been through this world long enough, we actually die wanting instant gratification, and we don't care about long-term benefits. So the idea is you need to be a Stoic, coming to training 5-6 times a week, getting your body beaten up, learning a martial arts, which hopefully you will never have to use. It's quite the paradox when you really think about it. Now, that isn't, of course, everything around martial arts and how to learn a martial arts. What I've done is I've collated a few techniques on how I've done it and how they can be applied for other people. Physical attributes and traits and environment do play a role. I'd be silly to say socioeconomic background doesn't matter. If you don't have the finances, you can't pay to join the clubs, and you don't have access to that knowledge. But what I hope you've seen, at least in this week for script learning and martial arts, is you've seen the techniques that cost nothing. That really, if you didn't have access to a gym or to a trainer, you could do this at home. And that's what's really key about our training, that it's accessible and that the techniques can be applied to real-world applications. And for only this lesson, hopefully you'll never have to use your martial arts, but if you do, you'll remember what to do. Thank you for your time, because that's one thing you'll never get back. I'll see you soon.